Hi, everyone. This is Janet Carlson. I just want to thank you for joining us, joining the Leadership Beyond Boundaries group online. So joining me today is Sarah Miller, who is the design specialist behind the Early Leadership Toolkit. We are also with 3 guests who have attended the Training of Trainers program. Lisa Manning.
Hello.
Tom Heck.
Hello.
And Hiten Momaya.
Hi.
Who we will hear from in a little while. So Sarah, could you tell us a little bit about the Early Leadership Toolkit, the idea behind its creation, and the 2.5 days of training?
Sure. So the Early Leadership Toolkit is a set of curriculum that the Leadership Beyond Boundaries team has created, and it really was an answer to a question that one of our first clients asked us, first partners, which was if we could create a curriculum that would enable organizations in low resource areas working with underprivileged kids from impoverished backgrounds, college students who had not much experience in youth development or leadership development, if we could create a curriculum that would enable them to design high quality, high impact leadership development programs. And we said yes, as we are prone to do. And so the Early Leadership Toolkit was born. And that is a 21 module, 21 lesson plan toolkit around different leadership topics, personality, communication, conflict management, and then a whole host of tools that will help facilitators design the program that's going to best meet their students or participants' needs. Primarily high school age to college age students. So we were really excited about this product, and we shared it around, and one of the things that we heard was that people needed a training to kind of go along with it to introduce them to how the toolkit worked, what some of our philosophies around design were. So we created a Toolkit Train the Trainer program, which is a 2.5-day program that all these wonderful folks who are joining us here today have gone through. And it really is focused on helping people figure out how to use the toolkit to best fit their needs. We've done about 15 of the programs around the world so far, and if I am technologically able to, at some point I'll pull up a map and show you where those places are. But 2 of the programs, 3 of the programs, Tom and Lisa have attended them in Greensboro at our headquarters, and then we did one in Hyderabad in India where Hiten joined us. So we are going to turn it over to them now so they can share a little bit about what their experience using the toolkit has been, and how they've been able to implement it with the students and young people that they work with.
Thanks, Sarah. That was a great overview. So Tom, could you start off with letting us know how you've adapted the toolkit for your set of audiences?
Yes, well, first of all, welcome everybody. I've been chatting with some folks over here in the chat window. So if you're watching this video, just underneath, there's a place where you can write questions, share ideas with other people, say hello to us and to each other. It's great to have everybody here. And I'm in North Carolina, in Asheville, North Carolina, and here's how I came to know about the toolkit. Is about a year ago I attended the Train the Trainer along with a group of just fantastic people. I got to say that the Train the Trainer event attracts people who are trying to get things done in their community. And I was there because I wanted to find a leadership curriculum, if you will. So my degree is in education, so I think in terms of curriculum. And I had already, the past school year, the 2011-2012 school year, I had been volunteering at my son's middle school working with 7th and 8th graders on team and leadership development. And my background is very heavy in experiential learning and learning leadership skills by doing activities, these group problem-solving events. And so I did that for the entire school year. It was a great success. The teachers loved it. They asked me to come back. And so I was delighted to do it. And what I realized is that I'm not always going to be able to do this work for the school as a volunteer. And there was that. And there was the other piece of, how do I take this group from point A to point B, learning specific lessons, again, a curriculum. So that is what I wanted to get out of the training. And let's see here. So I wanted to get that out of from the training, and so this year I was going to grab my toolkit. It's usually right here to my right. The reason being is because every Friday, most Fridays, I am at the school and I'm working my way through the curriculum. I guess I had a picture up earlier of what the toolkit looks like if you spread everything out, and it's very much from a teacher's perspective. It takes you from the beginning, point A, to the end, point B, if you will. And there's lots of interactive activities, and at the same time I'm sharing this model with the teacher that is having me come in, and it's been a great success. So we are right now working on visioning that aspect of our work. So, and I'm happy to take other questions. And Sarah, do you have any questions, or would you like me to share anything in particular? I can share this. Let me do this. I'm going to share, oops, I'm going to go over here and share my, let's see here. I think I had that screen on the wrong place. Hold on just a second with me. I'm going to share a picture of some students actually involved in the toolkit. Let me pull that up here. And you can see I'm doing I'm going to show you an activity from the toolkit, and Sarah can probably tell you more about this because this was her baby here. And I'm going to zoom in. Sarah, maybe you can talk about this. There's pictures here of people. And what is the name of this activity, Sarah?
So that's the leader sort deck, and one of the things that we found as we're working with young people in the U.S. and Kenya and in a lot of different places is, sometimes leadership or leader is sort of a dirty word, and so one of the things that we wanted to do is compile a deck of images of different people and have young people start to think about, is this person a leader? Do I think this person has leadership qualities? And maybe start to challenge some of the mental models that we grow up with, thinking about, oh, well, the leader has to be the president, or it has to be the captain of the team, or whatnot. And so what are different ways to start to break down those mental models so we can think about leadership in a broader sense and have young people start to think of themselves as leaders?
Yeah, I love this activity because, as you can see here, well, it's hard to see probably in the screen, but on one, the students are making a continuum from most like a leader to least like a leader, and I gave the students pictures not just of, quote, leaders in the world, like Martin Luther King or Mother Teresa or what people, but just even people around the school, other teachers. There was someone in the deck who is essentially like a janitor type of person, and so the students had to place them somewhere along this continuum, and they had to have discussions, and it was a really great experience. Now, that is not something that I did last year. For example, I did. So this is how I'm incorporating this work into other work that I'm doing, and I'm going to show you one other picture of, in addition to some of these activities, I'm also doing things like what I'm about to show you, and it is right here. So you'll see this is, I have the students out trying to solve a physical problem with each other, and in this activity, they're one side of the line, one group of students is trying to switch places with the other group of students, And you can see, here's another picture. I'll just run through a couple of these. So I'm combining these types of activities with the toolkit curriculum. So it's the curriculum becomes how we debrief and the lessons upon which we build, if that makes sense. So that is how I'm using this. And do you have any questions, or would you like me to share anything else?
No, that was great, Tom. Thank you.
Yes.
I think we're going to move next to Hiten. So Hiten, if you can give us sort of an overview of how you've been using it and that sort of thing, and then we'll get to more of the audience questions later.
All right, great. Hi to everyone, and thanks for this coming here and getting all together. So I want to start with, okay, first of all, just to remind Sarah, I was in Singapore, not in Hyderabad.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Hiten.
Yeah. So we came, me and my colleague Nalini came all the way from India, Delhi to Singapore to attend this the trainer toolkit, 2.5 days, 3 days, the program, the training, and let me start with what we are doing in India here. I have a small presentation here I would like to share and tell something about the organization we work with. Yeah, here it is. Okay.
Hiten, I'm wondering if you can tell us what time of day it is where you are.
Yeah,
here on the East Coast, it's 12:16.
Yeah, it's 10:46 p.m. here in India right now. So
Wow.
it's a little, an hour away from from midnight. So it's quite late in the day here. So I'm sure you can see this. It's the organization with which I am working, and we are working on this leadership and other aspects is Eureka, and we have been working and with children basically since 1996, and it's largely about outdoor education and camping, nature-based camps, and recently we have also started working on leadership development with school students from about an age group of 12 to 17-year-olds, almost 11 to 17-year-olds, and I mean, the basis of moving into the leadership program which we have been working on. That's when we did the the train the trainer program in Singapore, and we were developing our own curriculum, and it has been really helpful. Using a lot of activities, games which we use in our work, which we do something similar as what Tom has been using. The toolkit has been pretty useful. Because a lot of new things which has been appealing to us, we have taken from the toolkit. So let me just explain the basis of our leadership program which we do, and work which we are doing is basically personal leadership. As even Tom and Sarah mentioned about it, you don't have to have a some big public figure to look up to, and that's not what in leadership entirely is all about. We have been in the view that there are certain behaviors which leaders have. If we inculcate and develop those behaviors in ourselves, we can become a leader over time, who can also lead others. So developing personal leadership and having 5 different aspects. We call this program as E-Star. Having ethics, self-confidence, respect for others, taking charge, achievement. So this is the basic model around which we we work around this. And our uh, uh, what I wanted to also basically share is the experience of using toolkit. Some of the tools which we are using very regularly in our programs is the social identity, which is which has been wonderful. The visual explorer cards is another thing which we have been using. Also certain things, certain creative activities and aspects from the toolkit we have been using, like activities like castle making and all those things. But the most important thing is understanding self. That part of the toolkit is very useful for us, because we work around understanding self, understanding others, and it's less about leading a group of people. It's about leading myself, and that's what we want to develop the kids. We want the kids to think about, the students to think about. So in that sense, the social identity has been really useful. We have even tweaked it and modified a little, so that it becomes relevant for certain particular outcomes, learning outcomes that we want. So that is what we have been doing. Visual Explorer cards is something which has been very useful for not only our leadership programs, but also for our outdoor programs. The camps which we do with children in the mountains, in our camps. It's a very good tool to close a program, or for appreciation, or to just debrief any intense experience you go through in the wilderness. So that has been very widely used tool. Apart from that, what I would like to share is how we have probably specifically used social identity. So I can give an example where I was using this in one of the classes, grade 7, with grade 7 students. Uh, that was just last week. About 6 days back, I was doing this in a school, and one of the things which we discussed with the students was uh, uh, how does different aspects of the social identity, the core or the chosen and the given, affects your own self-confidence. Because the whole lesson was around self-confidence and understanding self, and what are the ways I can become more confident about what I want to do. So that was the entire topic. So we used the social identity to uh, uh, to move in that direction of helping the kids understand what identities of their own they can connect with, which helps them becoming more confident, or which probably challenges them, or something like that. So that's something specifically which I wanted to share with all of you, that you can tweak these lot of activities or lessons from the toolkit to make it specific. And we have been doing this with these two couple of things, whatever uh, areas we are working around. Uh, Apart from that, we also have, like Tom mentioned, I would like to just share this picture where uh, we use different activities in addition to certain things from the toolkit, uh, to it's largely experiential. So we have a lot of experiential activities and games which we use. So just would like to share this. You know, we were doing this thing called the roller coaster, where the kids had to make a roller coaster out of certain material which we had given, like newspaper, cards, playing cards, and a simple material like tape and all those things, just sellotape. And so the purpose was to understand how to solve different problems creatively, or if you are in an adaptive situation. So that was a particular lesson which we were looking at. So we use different games, different activities, quite similar like Tom. Our age group varies from 11 to 17-year-olds, even 18-year-olds. And we also work with younger kids, but the leadership program is largely from 11 to 17-year-olds. And in the last 1 year, we have post the trainer program. We have worked with about 600 kids, little more than that, 600 school students, right from class grade 7 to grade 11. And there are certain schools where we are working on a 5-year timeline, where once we start with grade 7 and we go on, we plan to continue till grade 11 and progressively inculcate or help them develop different aspects of what we believe is different behaviors of personal leadership, which will complete personal leadership. So that's the kind of work which we have been doing. I think let me just take a look at, so these are the different things which we have been doing, and would love to take any questions from anyone and share what stuff we are doing here in India. I'm not sure how many people from India or this part of the world are on right now. So if anyone is interested to know more of what kind of stuff we are doing, I would love to share that. Thank you.
There you go. My mic is back on. I'm trying to be quiet on this end. So just wanted to say thank you to Hiten. And I've been paying attention to the chat that we've got going on over here. Just so everyone knows, there is a place to ask questions and engage. It's not just watching the video. It's an opportunity to participate in a conversation. And so I've been sharing some stuff here with Kristen and Lade, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly, and Kim and Courtney and Mark. And so there's a conversation going on. Please join us and ask questions, make comments. Let us know what you're looking to get out of this conversation, because I wish I had this a year ago. I just went on faith that this was something I needed to do, and so it's that's what we're trying to do here, is help you understand, one, if this is something that you need, and then two, what is it about, so you can make an informed decision. So with that said, Sarah.
Thanks, Tom. My mic was muted too. We're figuring out this technology thing together, aren't we? Yeah, I think that's great. People who have questions, please go ahead and put them in that comment section, and we're keeping track of those here, and I know Tom is watching it as well. We're going to go ahead and move on to Lisa Prochnow Manning now. I think I got your last name order correct.
It's just Lisa Manning.
Okay, Lisa Manning. And she's been a great supporter and partner in developing the toolkit for a few years now, and most recently, I think, did an exciting project in Mississippi by organizing a toolkit training of trainers for community members in a small town in Mississippi. So I'm excited to hear more about that, Lisa.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
I think my mic is on now.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been with the Center for Creative Leadership for over 4 years now, almost 5 years, and working primarily with Leadership Beyond Boundaries, and began working with the toolkit early on with Joel Wright and Sarah and many other folks, including Janet. We began actually in Colorado Springs, and from there we delivered several of the toolkit programs, and most recently I was fortunate enough to work with the Community Foundation of Northern Mississippi, and they funded the Youth Leadership Development Network. And these actually is Youth Leadership Directors Network, which is made up of school teachers, superintendents of schools. DeSoto County is the county that has a youth leadership program, and that Youth Leadership Council was also involved with some of their educators. And so a group of educators from 8 counties attended a toolkit training Joel Wright and I delivered in November. And no, actually, I'm sorry, it was late October of this past year, and they reported that all of the toolkit modules that they used in our training, they were able to adapt to their students in their classroom. It was really exciting to see how they implemented this program, and I've heard from several of them, and I'll read you some of the quotes to share with some of you who may not have experienced it, and inspire you to try it out. It's fabulous. Let me tell you a little bit about the funding, because that might be of interest to some of you who may be interested in participating in that way and trying to get your communities involved and gathered to conduct the toolkit training. The Community Foundation of Northwest Mississippi is the home of dozens of endowed funds for Northern Mississippi nonprofit organizations. And the way it looks right now is most of the groups that belong to the Community Foundation of Northern Mississippi, they are registered, I should say all of them are registered with the Secretary of State and invited to invest a minimum of $5,000 to an endowment fund. This is how it operates. So essentially, the Community Foundation is a large nonprofit organization that houses several smaller nonprofits, and it helps them get started. This endowment fund is matched by $100,000 of the Maddox Foundation, which is a local family foundation serving both northern Mississippi and eastern Tennessee. And these endowment funds collect interest, and they can be utilized by the nonprofit or reinvested by the nonprofit. And each additional gift to endowment funds receives the 100% match of the Maddox Foundation. So a portion of the interest earned is applied to operating expenses of the Community Foundation. And that is essentially how funding operates. And so with operating expenses of the Community Foundation, plus money raised through fundraising, employees are able to obtain grants from the national foundations and successfully administer each of those grants. So I got together about 6 months prior to the training, and I was invited by the Community Foundation to speak with the Youth Leadership Directors Network and tell them about the toolkit. And they were able to get a fund, or funding, I should say, through a grant from the Community Foundation to have us come and deliver a 2.5-day toolkit training. So let me tell you a little bit about their response. It was really exciting to see how they could use this new tool not only with their teachers and their youth, but outreach in their own communities, in their counties. The leaders from Boys and Girls Club were very instrumental, for example, in delivering many of the modules to their programs. So I want to read a couple of quotes, and Tom, if you want to show the pictures while I'm reading these quotes, that would be great. After completing the Train the Trainer workshop on Early Leadership Toolkit, leaders in Northern Mississippi said, "What touched me most was the module surrounding values. I never thought about putting my values in perspective." Another quote, "The modules and the Early Leadership Toolkit were very practical and easy to use. I feel like I have something that we can use for years with our students." Another quote, "In the past, whenever I have attended trainings, I've always thought giving feedback on evaluations was a waste of my time. Now, after experiencing the feedback module, I have a whole new perspective." And lastly, I'd like to share this one with you. We will use this toolkit to help students grow and learn as young leaders. The modules will help them in all facets of our program. So needless to say, we're very excited about what this has accomplished in northern Mississippi, and the hope is we can expand these programs in other communities as well. So I'm happy to take any questions later if we want to talk about some of the post response and future requests. I'm happy to do that as well. But I can open that up to questions now. If you'd like, go ahead. Sarah or Janet.
Thanks, Lisa.
So thanks everyone for sharing your stories. For those people who are online who are thinking about maybe this is something I want to learn more about, or maybe order a toolkit or attend one of the trainings, I want to hear from the three of you. After your first delivery of the toolkit contents, what was really surprising for you that you would want to share with others potentially thinking about coming to one of these programs?
I have something I can. Oh, sorry, Tom. Do you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
Okay, just real quick. These were adults that we worked with, and I was really surprised and excited about their innovative use of music and song with some of the modules. That was new to me. I just had not seen that done before, and they were really a creative group. So that was really quite nice to see the music and the songs that they added. It made it very fun.
Thanks, Lisa.
I'll go. I don't know that it would be surprising, but I will say that when I went at the beginning of this school year, the 2012-2013 school year, what I did in order to get buy-in from the teachers and the school is that one, I made a presentation to the my two primary contacts at the school, and I was able to bring in, the toolkit, the box, into my presentation with these two teachers. And actually, there were three teachers at that meeting, and so I was able to spread it out, and I had handouts, and I said, here's where the idea behind this, and it was a pathway, and it made sense to these teachers, to people like me who are looking for curriculum over a span of time. So we were looking at rolling this out over the course of an entire school year, and then I made a presentation to the entire school staff. But and I had the toolkit with me, and it gave more weight to what we were doing. So that was a good thing, is that I was able to talk about the Center for Creative Leadership, the Leadership Beyond Boundaries team, who else was using it, the research, because the lessons in the toolkit are based on principles taught to Fortune 100 companies. And I wouldn't say that the information is dumbed down, but it is made deliverable in a way for me and for the other teachers to be able to grasp and hold on to and share with 7th and 8th grade students. That's the group I'm working with.
Thanks, Tom. Hiten, what about you?
Yeah. What was, I wouldn't say surprising, but very pleasantly, impactful experience was using the different aspects of, toolkit, because what they have done is, what it has done is it has appealed to, different mediums of expression for students to express themselves, whether it is not just experiencing something as a group, but individually sitting down, probably looking at cards, thinking, and it just adds a new dimension to the entire thing. So that variety and that variety of experiences, even going through an experience of sorting a card, is pretty impactful. So that has been a pleasant experience for us. It has been very nice. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So I know there's several questions that our audience has submitted. So let's go ahead and do that.
Great.
Sarah, which question do you want to go out respond to first?
Sure. I think they're both from the same person. Thank you, John, for your questions. One of the first questions that popped up was about if there's anything in the toolkit around cross-cultural communication. And can we scroll down and see what it was exactly? Where did it go? And I think there's two answers to that question. So one is on cross-cultural consideration. Okay, great. So I think, John, that's one of the things that and I think at CCL we struggle with a lot, and we want to make sure that we're not creating materials that are too U.S.-centric. And one of the things that I've found with the toolkit curriculum and other program design that we work on is so much of it is conversation that's driven by the participants. So it's really about how do you start a productive conversation around leadership. And I think that that's one of the things that Tom was sharing with the Leader Sort deck is if we create a tool that generates conversation from high schoolers or college students, the kind of conversation they're not used to having, maybe about leadership or values they don't get to have with their friends every day, they wind up being able to have conversations that are culturally specific, relevant to their context, and it's not something that we necessarily drive through the curriculum. And I don't know if Tom or Hiten or Lisa, if you have any thoughts about how you've seen that play out. If you've seen that play out, that's part of our intent, though, with the program design for sure.
Well, I can speak to this briefly. I think that even just the activity that I showed, the Leader Sort deck, is that the toolkit doesn't actually supply the pictures. I just went onto the web and found a few pictures and included pictures from our community, like our mayor, and then others. So the mayor is seen as a leader, but what about, like the janitor? And here's one that we came up with is we actually included an infant, a baby, and so the students. There was one group of girls I remember who were really struggling with that. Can a baby be a leader? And if so, in what way? And so what does it mean to be a leader? So it was this idea that the conversation of leadership was based on what they were experiencing. And that's the launching place.
Great, thanks, Tom. And I don't know if you've noticed anything using... I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, we have not come across a situation where cultural issues come up. Largely because I can just hear and see that a lot of work which so a lot of people use the toolkit for social purposes and working with audiences which are probably not as privileged as a lot of people probably in that context, but our audience is largely coming from a very privileged background. So it's the other side, like even the so-called very privileged students, children, and audience requires to create their own identity and have their own view and understanding about what leadership is. So, but this cross-cultural issues have never cropped up. So that's all I can say about this as of now.
Great, thanks.
But it's an interesting thing, yeah.
Lisa, did you have any thoughts on that, or?
I'm just getting my microphone back on. I didn't want to have any background noise. I haven't had experience with a the cross-cultural aspect, but I'm sure it's very adaptable.
Great, thanks. So another question that John asked was about if we use leadership projects in our design, and so I'll speak really quickly to that and then turn it over again to our panelists. So in the toolkit, we don't have anything that's specifically around how do you do a leadership project. I think it's a great question. He was saying, you know, a leadership project is a tangible project that students can do to practice the skills that they've been learning in the classroom. And there's a lot of experientials that we've put into the design of the toolkit, but because we were trying to create something that would be really flexible and able to be adapted to whatever kind of program, whether it's a school, whether it's a nonprofit like the YMCA, maybe a faith-based group at a church, or some other kind of institution, we didn't want to program it exactly like that. So I think that one of the things, though, as we were designing the toolkit is we were thinking about this would be such a great add-on to like a service learning program at a school, because a lot of times with service learning, we talk about it as a leadership experience, but unless we're making that leadership content explicit, it doesn't always come through for students. And so we kind of envision the toolkit being used in tandem with ongoing programs already. Within our designs, so we do a lot of other youth leadership work at CCL, and within those designs, we try as much as we can, given our partners' needs, to build in those kinds of projects. Because John, I think you're right. You have to have a tangible experience for students to start applying the skills that they're learning right away, because otherwise they're going to forget about them, just like adults do. So we do service projects, we have internships, what other sorts of projects? I think there's a whole host, and it can range in time. Does it take a day? Does it take an afternoon? Is it over the span of a summer? But I think that that's a really great question, and it's something that we certainly have seen be very successful with the students that we work with.
Yeah, the best case scenario is if you're working with an intact group who has an endeavor or team project within their school or community. So we use our tools and the methodologies, for example, social identity and DAC, which is direction, alignment, commitment, to really talk about, okay, how did direction, alignment, commitment, play out in your work team, on your project team. And so we use a lot of our methodologies to hang and analyze what's actually going on with that group. And you know what? If they don't have a leadership project, what we do is we give them the experiential exercises, like what Hiten shared. Creating that roller coaster is a project in itself. So having those experientials that the audience can actually tie to and say, yeah, I see how that plays out. It played out this way for me. Analyzing that activity through the DAC model. Well, now you know what? Let me see if that plays out in my work environment or my home environment. So great question about those leadership projects, but we don't really necessarily need them.
Well, yeah, and let's see what Tom and Hiten and Lisa have also to offer on that.
I do want to point over on the chat over here that we've got going. John has been great with asking questions, and I see that Brendan has to take off here. But there is something that John and just this whole conversation about what we're using it for, and here's my dream is that to use the toolkit to transform culture. A lot of times leadership development or leadership classes or team building classes are like one-off events as opposed to an ongoing systematized way to get from here to there. So for example, my dream is with the charter school that my kids go to. It's a K-8 charter school. When I made a presentation to the teachers, the entire teaching staff, I suggested that the teachers begin to take a look at the curriculum and taking pieces out that they can then be able to start to say, okay, we can teach this concept even starting in kindergarten. and I'll give you an example. It's really the DAC, the direction, alignment, and commitment. That's a concept that you could clearly start teaching in kindergarten. And I say, imagine what would happen to a student's mindset about just with that one topic, direction, alignment, commitment, as they travel from kindergarten through 8th grade. And imagine that student going out, to high school and beyond, having just a few of these concepts. That's what my dream is to integrate this, not just what I'm doing, which is on Fridays for generally 45 minutes. Sometimes I get more time. Most Fridays I'm there. But I want to see it, the leadership curriculum woven into the fabric of the school. It's a pretty lofty goal, but I'm taking steps to get there, and this is how we're doing it. By the way, there's one other thing. I introduced this. I have a friend who's teaches at an independent school, a private school here. It's a high school, grades 9 through 12, and he's been a teacher there for 25 years, and we were talking about leadership development. And I can guarantee you, I already knew the answer to this, and I said, so how important on a scale of 1 to 10 is leadership development at your school? No question. 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. Very important. Do you have a leadership curriculum that you take the students through? No. And so this is, I think, a common piece about those of us who are working with kids in particular, but probably anywhere, is we all value it, but what is the path of development? That's what this is. It is a path of development. If you say yes, leadership development is important, no, we do not have a curriculum, you need to get yourself to the Train the Trainer that's happening this month.
Thanks, Tom. Hiten, did you say that you had a comment on the leadership project too?
Yeah, I think it's a great point John has brought up, and it makes sense because unless kids see some meaning, something which they can connect to and practice, and they can use it in their existing life, day-to-day experiences, and they can see the connection, the buy-in of kids is going to be less. This is my experience. So what we have been doing is also a lot of schools in India, I don't know how it is in US and other places, but most of the schools in India have something called as the student council or the prefects council, and different societies and committees within the school, and they have kids taking on responsibilities in different aspects. So we find that the existing the roles, leadership roles, which they need to execute in their school life, are a very good context to connect our learnings and our whatever lessons we work around. We often have special leadership programs which we conduct for the school prefects, the prefects council or the leaders council in the school, keeping in mind that their role as prefects in a school has certain challenges, and that becomes a project for them for that year. So although I mean what Janet shared about the roller coaster being a project by itself, yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like a lot of these activities, games and stuff which we do are like that, but they are more metaphorical, and they are more something which cannot be generalized and implemented directly. So having a context or an area where they can actually implement the learnings immediately after learning it is very important. So one of the things which we have been doing, which has worked really well, and which a lot of schools find meaning in it, is having some structured form of reflection because our experiential learning cycle is also the Kolb cycle, as we know, has experience, and then the reflection is very important. So every human being goes through certain experiences every day. So do kids. So they have their own experiences, and if we give them tools or methods to reflect on their experiences on a regular basis, and that reflection moves in a particular direction of leadership, I think that's a very good context, and which can be followed up. The people, I'm sure, like whether it is Tom who gets about 45 minutes a week, or I who get a chance once or twice a year to connect with students in a school, it is the teachers who work with them on a regular basis who can actually follow up on the stuff which we do. So giving tools to the teachers and connecting with them and people who interact with the kids on a daily basis. So we have something called as a reflection diary, which we give to the kids at the end of our leadership workshop. I have been, developing it and improving it with a lot of reflection questions, which can help them to reflect on the kids to reflect on their daily experiences, which will connect to the leadership learnings. So the entire cycle is built like that. So I think. These are the things which we have been doing, and I thought it would be great to share with you all.
Thanks, Hiten. Lisa, did you have something that you'd like to do?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Going back to some of the things that Tom was talking about, how the toolkit has been used in different applications, the Youth Leadership Development Network, Directors Network, I have trouble remembering all of it. They used the toolkit modules on communication, conflict resolution, and debate aspects and feedback with a mock debate during the presidential election. And the students really were amazing with how they were able to apply those modules in their debate setting. Also, I wanted to share with you, there is a camp in Brevard, North Carolina, where Tom hails, and one of the executive directors of this camp attended the toolkit training with myself, and he's been able to implement the program with his camp counselors, especially feedback, communications, conflict resolution, as you can well imagine, has been very applicable in a camp setting, and so they've been able to really enjoy expanding the toolkit in that respect. And then lastly, there is a group in North Carolina called Muddy Sneakers that I've been working with. Tom's very familiar with it. They do actually some of the toolkit work in many of their outdoor experiential education activities, and so there are a lot of applications for the toolkit. And just getting back to your question, Sarah, I guess from an attendant in the audience, I think it was John, who asked about cross-cultural aspects. We used some of the similar modules through Leadership Essentials at the South African program that Stedman and I were involved in December. And so there's really a lot of opportunity to use the toolkit in many different settings. So I wanted to just share that with you.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate that. I think that's a great point. We have used the toolkit in, boy, I should really make a list of how many countries it's been. We've got users. One of the exciting projects that I've been working with is a group in Nairobi, Kenya, who works with scholarship students who live in one of the slum areas there. And I think that, Tom, to speak to what you were talking about earlier, when we have these programs and we say leadership development is a really important component about it, but we don't have a set curriculum, there's a need there, and that's one of the things that we've been working with this organization, Carolina for Kibera, on through college-age interns, which I think is really exciting. How do you equip a college student with the leadership skills and the leadership development knowledge necessary to go in and help further expand and develop a scholarship program for students in Kenya and make it more robust. And they've been very pleased with the results. The students there have gone on to do other leadership projects, and it's in prefects, I think, being elected prefect, or I'm not exactly sure how that works, but it was an exciting project too. So I think that there are a lot of stories which we would love to share, but we don't have time. We did want to let you all know about some upcoming events. I think Janet is going to share those with us. And Tom, if you could put that screen on, that would be great, so people can write down that information if they'd like to.
Yeah, great. Tom, can you put that on the main screen?
There we go.
Thanks.
Thanks so much. Okay, did you want to ask about the focus?
Go ahead.
Okay. We want to thank our 3 guests for their time and willingness to share their great stories from the field. You all are doing fantastic work that is making a huge impact in your various communities. So Hiten, thank you for committing to us this late time of the evening. We appreciate your stories from India. Lisa, thank you so much. Where are you located right now?
You're on mute, Lisa.
So Lisa, where are you joining us from?
I'm in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Oh, so thank you for joining us from Idaho. And Tom?
Asheville, North Carolina.
Thanks for navigating in Nashville, North Carolina. And to everyone online, if you would like to connect with our programs, please refer to the screen. That information is also located on leadbeyond.org. So thanks for engaging in today's conversation. We hope that what you have heard today continues to inspire you to achieve and lead beyond boundaries. So this is Janet Carlson and
Sarah Miller.
And we just want to thank you for joining Leadership Beyond Boundaries. Hope to see you again in our upcoming sessions.
Yeah, and one more quick announcement. We would love to know who was able to join us today, and if you'd be interested in helping us further refine the toolkit. We're doing a little bit of research around what we need to do with it, what are people's interests. So if it would be all right if we contact you about that, either email us at lbbinfo@ccl.org, or you can leave us a comment in the chat box that was on the event invite. So either way is a great way to get in touch with us if you're interested in learning more, or if we can contact you to learn from you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks
Thanks
everyone.
everyone.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.